Hey guys, I finally made it back home, found some pretty cool places along the way, managed to get a whole bunch of supplies, but I'm taking care of my cows right now, because there are a whole lot of them. I had to abandon a horse I thought I'd tamed. Let's see. I found a mesa. I found Mushroom Island actually, which was pretty surprising. I found, let's see. I'm trying to remember right now. There was a savanna, a roofed forest, pretty much everything but the jungle. So I think my world might be pretty devoid of jungles, given that I didn't really find any. I am definitely going to need a better system for this. Okay, that looks a lot better. So, let's see. I'll just dump this in there. Let's see, I got 13. I finally figured out my box situation. If I make all of these, I'll have exactly 300 in this room. And then on the second floor, I need to do it 3 layers tall. And then I have like 17 after that I need to put down. So I'm gonna have to figure out the best way of spacing that out so it doesn't look strange. Which means that there's probably gonna be a lot of empty room on probably this front side of the room. I have to fiddle with the numbers a little bit, so that's something. Let's see, aside from that, I rearranged some of my stuff. Got carrots, potatoes, found a couple villages so I could grab those. Saplings everywhere. I'm gonna put that there. Cause stuff is in the wrong spot. Okay, that's better. So I didn't need to hold on to those red mushrooms. I didn't realize that I had a whole bunch. I'll just dump that in there. I got acacia, dark oak. Obviously I'm missing jungle and spruce, which I can get anytime I want. So that's why I'm not worried about it. Found a desert temple, got some armor, saddle. Pretty much a lot of really cool stuff. Yeah, hardened clay because I found the mesa. And that's about it for updates. So in the meantime, what I really need to be doing is making sure I've got all my farms going. And so far, I've only got a dinky little wheat farm, and a cow farm. I trapped some animals down there, like I think there's a pig and a sheep. Yes, a pig and a sheep. Or 2 pigs now? No, just one. I think it's just one. They kept wandering over from like the other side of that mountain. I'd see them every now and then. But I also have the pig in here, so it works out for me, and I finally got carrots so I can actually make a farm for them. But my problem with that is that I haven't got a place to put it. So I need to get going on making a place to put everything. And having looked at this whole surrounding area, I'm just gonna go through the basics of my little plan, which sort of like Dover in England, where they have those white cliffs. I kind of want to keep this looking rocky, but at the same time, I know that people would, live on this. So being near the harbor and I'm gonna extend the harbor out actually into this bay. Being near the harbor, there'd be a lot of shacks and warehouse type buildings, and stuff that doesn't really isn't really nice buildings, just sort of a poorer type place. And that's kind of true for pretty much every city except for San Francisco, which only really has shopping right next to the port. I'm sure that there are others like that. It depends. I still haven't entirely decided if I want to make it a modern style, if I want to do like an old style, if I want to do a medieval style. I don't really want to do medieval. I kind of want to do a pseudo-modern. And that's kind of where the warehouse came from. I'm gonna do something about that. I will. It looks terrible. I think I'm just gonna rebuild the second part though, and make it look like that bottom part, because that looks pretty cool. But let's see. So on the other side of this, when I first came in, there was a pretty cool area over that way that I'm gonna try and get to, and probably fail miserably, but I figure that that's going to be, another little area. So this would be where big ships would be, because they wouldn't be able to fit in the tiny port. So having like a fishing fleet in this area would make sense. And then for this area, there's like a cool little spot where you can actually, here, I'll just jump down in there and show you what I mean. It took me a long time to get back though, from 10,000 out. I really should have probably just waited actually until I got diamonds, which I have 3 now, so I can actually make a pick. I found those in a chest. Well, in more than one chest, but yes. So up in there, I'm thinking I can like make a gigantic sort of pass through the mountain. I've seen that in real life and it looks pretty neat and awe-inspiring, and I can see how that would fit well if I just sort of dig out this little area, make a little path over to here where big ships would be, and have this sort of be more catering towards like tourist type things, because big ships would either be freighters or cruise ships in modern days. So thinking about that, there would have to be some kind of crane in this area for freighters. And then if it were a passenger ship, it would end up being a lot of like customs house. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. There'd be a customs house, there would be, a couple checkpoints. So I can set that up pretty well here. The only problem I see here is that most of it's going to have to go out into the water, unless I want to completely level this, which I don't. But I can make it sort of underground. I mean, that's something that modern buildings don't do, is they don't use the underground very much. So it seems kind of weird, and I haven't figured out like the logistics of it. So that's one thing. And then farming area, I really want to take place more where that tree farm is. Just have all my farms sort of laid out in the same spot, make it look more rural over there. Because that kind of makes sense to me. I think I put my tree farm a bit too close though for what a real city would be like. A real city would have built up around this port and have a lot of old style buildings right near the port. And then newer buildings would start getting farther and farther out. So I think when I eventually move villagers over here, I'm going to end up putting them where that forest is. And I'm going to have to either burn or chop down that whole forest. Or at least most of it. Looking at my own town and various places I've lived and grown up in and all that stuff, a lot of this is going to have to go. Like all these trees that you can't even see because it's not loading properly. But it's going to have to be more level, more city-like. And then I think maybe fixing this river so that it's actually a river would be pretty fun. I'm already trying to like shape it in my head, because mostly what I figured out was just I want buildings all in there. And I want it to look compact, and some of them should be run down, some of them should be obviously new and made of cheap materials. Some of them should be older, like brick style buildings, especially like right where that would go. Like right in there should be this old style brick building. In terms of how the mountain's gonna fit in, I haven't decided that much. I mean, this is a natural port, except that it's so mountainous right next to it, so that makes it a little bit awkward to land on. So I'm kind of wondering if I should have actually like made the port area here, but I can have like more of a marina style over here with, you know, residential yachts and stuff. And that would make sense, because you'd have a breakwater probably in there, and then there'd be another breakwater there extending off this, and probably one over there, even for big ships. So that actually would work out pretty well, because most big ships actually don't disembark from the bottom of the boat. They just disembark from like deck 5, 6, or 8. That's been my experience with big ships. And I have gone on a couple cruises. I got really lucky that my parents really liked cruises when I was younger, so even though I couldn't appreciate it at the time, you know, you're a kid, you don't really enjoy looking at the museums and stuff. Just one of those things. So, yeah, doing stuff like that. I'm gonna try and like shape up this. There shouldn't be dirt there. There shouldn't be dirt there. Shouldn't be oars sticking out. And just sort of general stuff like that. I definitely need a lot more materials before I can really do most of this. But at the same time, I've got a cobble and a tree farm. And the tree farm will give me charcoal to cook up any stone I might need and might use for this project. So that's one. Second is that I now have the coordinates for a mesa, a desert, everything but the jungle I have coordinates for. So that will make it a lot easier to get materials for building. And I don't really have a problem going to and from the mesa, bringing back materials for building and for putting in the chests. So I think my next project, specifically, is going to be caving. I really need to get obsidian to get up a portal network, so I can get to those places really quickly. And then aside from that, sandstone wouldn't really be a big thing. This would be kind of like Denmark, just in terms of the climate and the mountainousness. Maybe not Denmark specifically, but in that sort of Scandinavian area. And I have been to Copenhagen, and I've been to Switzerland, which is not actually... Wait, no, that one doesn't count, does it? No, it doesn't. But they had a lake, which was mountainous. So that's what I'm thinking of and got confused on. It doesn't get that cold there in summer when I went, though, so... Thinking about this a little bit, I'm gonna have to really think about it, because they didn't have to worry about, like, big ships. And I kind of do, because that's sort of an ocean. It's a landlocked ocean, I checked. I explored a little bit. I had trouble getting back here because I couldn't remember my coordinates, so I've got those written down now, so I don't have to worry about that. So yeah, this is just kind of sort of a general state of the area address, I guess. But yeah, making it either less rocky or less grassy. either one of those. It kind of needs to be one or the other and not both. It just doesn't really work having them both be, like right here, looks good. But then I look at how that has a lot of snow, so having a whole bunch of grass just falling down from it doesn't really make sense, but at the same time, all this is stone. And I would have to cover up all of this in order to get it to look a little bit more presentable. So, I can do that. I just haven't decided which I prefer. Do I prefer it to look stone or dirt? And that's kind of thing is I'm kind of wondering, like, what kind of culture would the people building here have? I mean, there's obviously a whole bunch of grass over here, except for, over there. So, I don't know entirely. I'm trying to think if I want to switch where I want to put the rural part and where I want to put the actual village part, because honestly speaking, it's going to be easier to put the village this way, because there's more dirt, and you would see more dirt and grass where, a town is. Even though some of it would be paved, which would be, the stone parts, I have like a natural road going on that I can think about. So, this would, if I kind of assume that these are, gigantic parts of limestone type thing, it'd be a really steady ground from earthquakes. So, that's one thing, is that would kind of determine types of buildings that you'd build here. And then aside from that, we've got this gigantic forest area, which, honestly, if I clear it out, it might be better to make it entirely rural. With all the farms and the cows and the sheep and the chicken and all that, which would cause me to move my tree farm. Which is fine, actually. I'm actually fine moving my tree farm. It's not a very good farm. Like I said, I end up losing a lot of saplings when I farm it, so that's a problem. I could see there being like an observatory up in there. I could see all sorts of stuff. I mean, I just have to think about like shops and, where would you put a shopping district? Well, you'd put it downtown. Where's downtown? The oldest part of the city, usually. And that would be right near the docks. So, putting a whole bunch of, like, a shopping district over in here. Sorry about that, I'm rather ill. Yeah, putting a shopping district along there would make a lot of sense, but at the same time, it makes me wonder if I should have put the warehouse over there. So it gets a little bit confusing because I'm gonna need I don't need to do this, but this is all for flavor text, is that there would be multiple warehouses. So that's gonna disappear, that water's gonna disappear, most definitely. There's no reason for it to be there. That's gonna disappear, that's gonna disappear. I'm gonna have to think of where to put the portal. Maybe I'll put it in the observatory area. That would be a thought. That would actually be a pretty good idea. And that's kind of where I'm saying is that it's hard to figure out, like, what to build. I've got so much to work with and so many ideas that I can't, like, keep them all straight, so I keep rethinking and thinking again and just, I mean, as it stands, I kind of want to, I almost want to just level this thing. This thing's just sort of in the way, and maybe if I put, something over here, it will look cool. But I'm not sure what city would have a sort of rickety-looking bridge spanning across this tiny little pillar. So that's something I'm going to have to think about. I think if I did keep this mountain, I would end up putting a statue of some kind on that. Take out this gigantic mess that's barely connected, flatten this a bit, make it grass, and eventually I'll have silk touch so I can actually get grass up here easily. So if I do all that, if I do all that, make that grass, make it a statue, that actually ties it in well. I mean, this can be a spiral staircase type thing going up to this. Pseudo pilgrimage. Anybody who's been to Brazil, or Peru, wherever that giant statue is. I haven't been there, so I don't know. Extend the river, make that a marina. Maybe make this part more wealthy area. Still cold? Let's see. Yeah, I can work with this. I can make a little park over there-ish. Except then I would want to put most of the city here. So it's all kind of ideas. I'm just bouncing around in my head. So in the meantime, I will see you guys next time.